For the Unit 2 Day 6 notes, we're going to review the properties of equality. So I went ahead and just listed them up here at the top as a word bank. And then you have to use these words to determine A through E what property they are. So for A, y equals y. That should just be reflexive. For D equals E and E equals F, then D equals F. So that one is where that E repeats, which is transitive. For letter C, to go from the if statement to the then statement, they would have to have divided by -9 to both sides, which then means division property of equality. For letter D, C equals -5, and then -5 equals C, so they just flipped it around. That would be symmetric property. And then lastly for this one, if A minus 10 equals 12, then A equals 22. So in order to go from here to here, they had to have added 10 to both sides, which would have been addition property. Okay. Then for example 2, if I want to do a geometric proof, same kind of idea applies. Usually the first statement is your given. And in this case, E is the midpoint of AC. That is given. Okay. I notice, because I went ahead and gave you some to fill in the blank, there's another given down here. So automatically, that should be this part right here. So I'm going to fill that in. Okay, so for the first statement, E is the midpoint of AC. Okay, so we then should know, if this is the midpoint, that AE is congruent to EC. So I'm going to fill that in. AE is equal to, or you could put congruent to, EC. And that is because of the definition of midpoint. So since I was given that E was the midpoint, I knew by the definition that this was congruent to this part here. Then the other given was that DE is congruent to EC. Okay, so if I look at these two statements, I see that EC repeats in both of them, which then means that AE is congruent to DE, which is listed here. And that is considered your transitive property. So now I'm saying that AE is congruent to DE. Okay, and then the goal was to prove that AE is congruent to DE. And that's the definition of congruence, because if something is equal to it, it's also congruent to it. We're talking about a distance.